approach termites. From what it sounds like, it's the old approach was we're going to drill a bunch of holes, we're going to dump in a bunch of poison, and we're going to kill all the termites.
Exactly.
This approach is, hey termites, we got this organically safe thing here that you're all going to come to, and then once I have you all, I'm just going to fold you up and take you out kind of deal, right? No more
Pretty
holes,
much.
no more serious deadly chemicals to the termites and to the dogs and children.
Exactly.
So this is really a kind of, it's a game changer.
It
You know?
really is. It really is a game changer.
I got to ask you this. I mean, dogs have incredible smell.
Yes.
Do insects have better smell than dogs?
Insects, well, as far as termites go, they work on a pheromone as well. They'll go out forage for food. When they find a food source, they may have taken, 2 miles to get to that food source, but their nest is 200 feet back. They will go in a direct line back, and that whole way they're leaving a pheromone trail. So when they get to the nest, everybody knows right where to go.
Wow.
So it makes it a lot easier. It works exactly with what they do daily.
So when I kill a fly and I tell them, tell your friends.
Well, welcome back. I'm Keith Reynolds, host of Morning Coffee. I'm here with my show Mark Cook. And as we said before commercial break, we're here with the bug guy. I want to welcome on Steve Sines to our show. Did I say that right?
Sign, yeah.
Sign. You know what? I brutalize
okay.
names for you viewers out there. You know I do it. So.
What was nice is that we didn't just go over that a second before we went on the air.
Because I got to see it 10 times,
Much better than most people say it, though, so that's still good. It's still good.
So, Steve, welcome to the show. I wanted to bring you on. I wanted to bring an expert on to talk about some things that the media is just tearing up. And you know what? I just think they give such a bad slant on things. So.
It does happen a lot. Media, explodes everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, we got to talk about the mosquitoes. I think me and Mark were talking what's it called?
The Zika virus.
The Zika virus.
Tell us, I guess, I think what we want to know is tell us the fact versus what the media is trying to create this hysteria about this new virus that's going to kill everyone, that's being transmitted through the mosquitoes, and then if you get bit by the mosquitoes, you can then transmit it sexually. Was the new story that came out. So, Steve, do you have any insight on what's real versus perception?
Well, I'm in the process of doing a lot of the research now. Mosquitoes we can treat the same way as our basic mosquitoes that we've got around now. These are coming in, and we're going to have to address them the same way. Some of the things I've been hearing is the virus will stay in your body for a couple months, you're not going to feel great, and then it's gone. That's one of the things I've read. One of the big things is women having babies.
Absolutely.
Pregnant women are the big issue.
Okay.
Because it can have adverse effects on the baby.
Small head syndrome or something
Yes.
like that. There's babies with small heads. That was
So
really crazy.
that's the big thing. So if we can wrap a bubble around these women and we'll kill the mosquitoes off, then we should be in good shape.
Now, I know everybody's saying like they feel helpless because mosquitoes are everywhere.
And
Now,
they are.
and we didn't have like a tremendously cold winter, thank God.
Yes.
So now I would imagine that they're going to be out more than usual.
I'm thinking the bug population this year is going to be huge because, like you said, we had a little bit of cold weather and that was it. Although we've had years where we've had extremely cold and a lot of snow, and we've still had huge populations. So this year, I think we're going to have a lot more than normal. And I don't want to alarm anyone. I don't mean to say that to say, hey, everybody sign up for a pest control service. It's just you have to be aware of what's going on around you.
You wouldn't mind that, by the way, if everyone
we're
signed
good
up
with
for
that.
pest control
We're good with
service,
that.
right?
But you know what? I think too. Also, like people are thinking, okay, how do I prevent this? I mean, you have your yard. Do those types of things, as far as like the sprays or those things that look like grills, work? I mean, like, does that type of stuff?
Everything, to a degree, works.
Okay.
We traditionally do spraying.
Okay.
But some of the things you can do before we even get there, some people might have a tire swing in their yard for their kids, a sandbox, things like that. sandbox, put the lid on every time you're not using it.
Sandbox. Really?
Because the moisture gets in there and you've
Mhm.
got puddles. You know, your yard, you may have some low spots. Fill them in with dirt, put some grass seed back on it, make everything, so all the water runs off. Anywhere you have puddling and any kind of moisture like that, that's where they're gonna really multiply. You have a retention basin that's not aerated. There's things that we can put in there that's organic. The fish that can be in there, the frogs, whatever, it's still fine for them, but we can eliminate the larvae in the ponds.
Now, I have a pond. If it's running water though, if it's running, is that, because that's like, I don't know if that's a myth or what, but running water, they don't seem to lay eggs. Is that true?
Circulating water is good, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, when I say aerating, I usually, those fountains that they usually put.
Gotcha.
That means that, they're circulating. That's gonna be a much better resolve than that water just being stagnant there.
Stagnant,
Yeah.
okay.
Is this a situation where we need to protect ourselves with like an off or some sort of the on-body repellent? I mean, are we at that level, or is it a situation where let's monitor it and see kind of where it's at? Because obviously the spraying is going to take care of the mosquito where it lives, so to speak. But to protect our bodies, to protect ourselves, is the off, is that another thing that we should add to our morning routine, or for the time being, do you have any opinion on it? Does that stuff even work?
I don't personally like it.
Okay,
I don't like spraying a chemical onto my skin.
right.
I'm just not a fan.
Mhm.
Being in the business, I don't think that's a great idea. There are organic products. You can use Skin So Soft.
Skin so soft.
That
so
works.
That's good.
We actually have a product, it's a clove base, it's all organic, that you can actually spray on your skin, you can spray on your pets, and it'll protect you like an off
Okay.
or any of those other chemical type treatments that you can put on yourself.
Without the chemicals.
Without the chemicals.
Right.
So there's those options out there. Some people are totally immune to bites by mosquitoes. Other people walk outside
Right.
and they've got 10 of them on them
My
instantly.
Right.
My grandmother called it sweet skin.
Sweet skin,
I
yeah.
would always like bugs bites. I would get bug bites all the time. But, I don't want to kind of date myself or any of you guys, but do you guys remember the mosquito guy?
The truck that drove around. Yes.
We had a guest on last year, and he actually wrote a song about this, the mosquito guy. And for you guys out there, for you viewers and listeners out there, wherever you lived in the country, in Jersey, we had the mosquito guys, and it would be like clouds of these, whatever they were spraying, and the mosquito guy would go down the street, just like the trash truck would go down weekly, and we would ride our bikes through it. Now you know what's wrong with our age, that wasn't too smart of
It
it.
explains why you guys are all a little off.
We're all
That's
a
perfect.
little bit.
Jersey, that's what's wrong with us,
But
okay, by the way.
you know what, Steve? This was really a strange season, because I don't remember a season where I saw so many insects throughout the dead of winter. And it
Yeah.
was almost like I'm still seeing bees in December. I'm still seeing little flying things in February, this month. That can't be good for the whole ecosystem as a whole, right? I mean, these guys need to die, and then they need to come back at the appropriate time, right? The way
Correct.
the way the ecosystem is supposed to work.
That's the way it's supposed to work. We're also supposed to have cold weather throughout the winter.
Right.
Yeah.
If you remembered, Christmas Day was about 75 degrees, or Christmas Eve, 75 degrees. We're having 60-degree temperatures now. We're looking forward to more 60 degrees. We had some in January. We had some 20-degree days. It's all over the board. So all these warm days are really keeping the population alive.
So that means in July, when I go outside, there's gonna be so many mosquitoes. You're gonna have to peel through them, right? I mean, because it's really, there's no sustainable way to be able to keep the entire insect population alive year-round. There's no way that it would be able to work that way.
Right.
So as the climate changes, I don't want to get too deep on you now,
No, but you know
but
what,
it's
you're
it's
right.
it's kind of important, and
Well,
people don't really realize that.
You think about the plants. The plants have a season. They
Exactly.
die off and they
Right.
grow back on.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have plants living all year round. It would be kind of weird.
Yeah,
And it's the same
absolutely.
thing we're finding. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the bug guy.
Choosing the right fence for your home or business is an important decision to make. Choose a Nello fence for peace of mind. Our family has manufactured and installed beautiful maintenance-free fence for over 50 years. We provide vinyl, aluminum, and wood fence in a wide variety of styles and colors, including chain link fence for commercial and residential. Call or visit our indoor showroom and ask for Steve Anello and see how 4 generations of combined experience mean that you'll get quality and service that can't be matched by any other fencing company, period. Call Anello Fence today for a free estimate.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
Well, welcome back. I'm Keith Reynolds, host of Morning Coffee. I'm here with my show co-Mark Cook, and we have the bug guy on, Steve Science, from Science Exterminating. Steve, welcome back. We got into the mosquito stuff a little bit on our first part of the show. I want to touch a little bit real quick. I know there's people always talk about the stink bugs. We actually had one follow Steve in, so maybe he's targeted for termination himself. I don't know. We'll go out in the parking lot and there'll be 10,000 stink bugs on him.
Oh, I hope not.
We'll have to pull them off.
We'll be back in a couple of weeks to take care of it for you.
They're so gross.
So, myths about the stink bug. Obviously, they do stink, right?
They do stink if you squish them.
I've never
not all
smelled
of them.
one, but,
I walked into a townhouse one day where the woman squished one on her back window. When she opened the front door and I took my first step in the house, I could smell
away.
it.
Yeah.
Really?
It was that awful.
What does it smell like?
It's bad.
Like rotten eggs?
It's like a rotteny smell.
Yeah, it's
Not
hard to
quite an egg,
explain,
but it's
yeah.
very rotten.
It's gross.
Really? I've
Yeah.
never smelled one.
You've never stepped on one by accident? I mean, really, it's not like you intentionally want to crush them because you
Right,
know that
right,
they
right.
sting, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
happens. It happens by accident.
Yep.
And man,
Right.
it's gross. But
yeah.
what was interesting about it is that you said that that's a way for them to attract other stink bugs, right?
Exactly. That
In death,
once
they-
they're squished, the others are attracted there, and that's why you don't want to squish them.
Oh, it's gross.
Usually, the best thing to do is wrap them in a tissue and flush them down the toilet.
Wow.
Hear a lot of people throwing them back outside.
Yeah.
They're just going to come back in. So I don't
Right.
quite get that, but
So there's nothing like, as far as chemically or anything that...
there is.
There is?
There is, yeah, and a lot of people see them around this time of year. On the warmer days, they start to make their way in. Ideally, you want to treat them before they get in the house. Makes sense.
Right.
September, October, starts to cool off. They're on certain trees. They make it towards your house. We treat the house. They don't get in.
Well, you spray something on the house?
We literally spray the house. All the soffits, all the corners, inside, outside corners, the structure itself, to prevent them from getting in. That way you don't have to worry this time of year. They're already in the house, hiding. And then they'll make their way in as the weather warms up.
Wow. What about, ticks are a big concern always. What about ticks? Can you spray the house for the ticks and
Ticks
stuff?
are huge, yeah. We have a lot of our people on a 2-time-a-year schedule. We'll go out mid to late April, and then we'll go out again around mid-July to early August. And we'll spray their yard and eliminate their fleas, ticks. Mosquitoes are usually, covered in that time too. And a lot of people are afraid of ticks.
Yeah, I mean, they're, the deer tick is so small, and, Lyme's disease, how many people I know got Lyme's disease and stuff?
We've come across a lot of customers now that are like, I've had Lyme's and I don't want it again. New customer just called out of Voorhees. She said, we just moved here 3 years ago. We haven't had a good guy to take care of the ticks. What can you do? And they're in an atmosphere where there's a wooded area behind them. They've got a 10-foot fence for their back fence because they know that's the people before them put the 10-foot fence versus a 6-foot to keep the deer out. So,
Wow. In this northeast region of the country, I think that we see, obviously our tick population is higher than the rest of the country.
huge.
Seems like that's another population that continues to grow. That when I was a kid and I grew up in the South Jersey area and I grew up in a wooded area, I don't ever remember having to worry about ticks.
Never.
Recently, when a different part of South Jersey, I took the dog out for a walk. In 5 minutes, I was pulling ticks off myself, off the dog. this wasn't something that I had to worry about before, but it's definitely something that people need to be more aware of now. Even just like I said, just walking the dog.
Exactly. I grew up in the area as well. My backyard was woods.
Mhm.
We had a patio, porch, and then it was woods. And we would play in the creek every day. And we didn't come in and
Right.
Mom says, let me see if you got ticks on you. We
Never,
didn't worry
never.
about it.
Right.
It was not as bad as it is now.
Maybe
So-
because we were running through the smoke of the mosquito guy.
Exactly. They're staying clear of us.
You know, but that's funny though, because if you think about like frogs, you know, when we were growing up, you could see frogs everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. I don't see them.
Not
Like
as
when I see
many.
a frog, it's like seeing like a lion in a zoo. Like you just don't see it normally.
There's areas where you'll see some, but there's creeks, there's ponds, there's things like that. You don't see them just around your yard anymore,
Right.
like we used to.
Right.
So,
Now, Steve, now we were talking during the break. There is something that, because I hate to use the word chemical, but or organic
right.
product that you use, and it's really different from a lot of the other exterminators and what they do.
We've got a few different products, like we talked about earlier, for the mosquitoes. You can actually spray it on your body, totally organic, clove-based. We actually use it for bed bugs, we use it for roaches. In your kitchen area, we can actually wipe your counter down with it, which works out great, because it works well, and it's organic.
So it's safe for
and it
your
actually
food and
smells
right.
decent too. So a
Right.
lot of people love the smell of clove. But one of the things that we use, and again, it's not organic, but it's a reduced risk termiticide. It's called the Centricon system. And what it is, it's a bait system that we put stations around the perimeter of the structure. And the termites forage for food all the time. So what's in there is what looks like a piece of wood, though it's treated with a chemical that regulates their molting process and doesn't allow them to molt, which they do about every 3 weeks.
Phew, every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks. So in turn, they die if they can't molt. It's a product made by Dow AgroSciences. It's an amazing invention. They were the first to
This
come
is-
out with something like that.
This is going to change the way exterminators. That's actually accurate, huh? He is telling his friends when I smush him with the newspaper. That's crazy.
Yeah, once he's dead, he's not going to help you much. But the termites look for food constantly. They leave that nest. The workers who make up 95% of the colony, their job is to go find food, bring it back to the queen, and feed their other nest mates. Because some of them don't go out as much. So
Wow.
they're going out. They're finding that food. Once they find that source, they're never leaving it unless there's a problem.
Unless there's a problem.
Yeah.
Wow, really interesting.
So
stuff.
it's amazing, a 200 linear foot structure, with the average size home, you're gonna have 80, 90 gallons of chemical poured around that. Sometimes it's drilled in your basement walls, sometimes it's drilled in your garage floor, and that's all there. Chloridane was banned or stopped being produced in 1991 because it was a great product.
Right.
Not the reason they got rid of it. It was so dangerous.
It killed everything.
Killed everything. Been to houses where chloridane's been used and didn't find a bug living.
Right.
Just amazing. Some of the products are pretty good, the liquids, and they work similar. They walk through the chemical and become infected. Anyone else they touch becomes infected too. Problem with it is it's still a chemical. Second thing is, you do any landscape excavating, maybe do an addition, you pull that dirt out with the chemical, you're not safe again,
Right.
because that chemical's been moved
Right.
as well. With the Centricon system, you put your stations, roughly 20, 22 stations around that house. You decide to do an addition, you pull those stations, you do your addition, and you put new ones around that structure. So not only are you keeping the rest of the house safe, but you're going to keep the new part safe as well by just adding 2 or 3 stations or however, depending on the size of the addition. So
Very interesting.
it's
Yeah.
very, very useful, very user-friendly is the best part of it. We can go to a house, if there's no issues inside, we can go to the house while you're at work. You don't even need to be there. Traditional treatment, you need to get in the garage, we need to
Right.
get in the basement. You gotta be home, you gotta kill a day.
Now, Steve, is there anything that we do as homeowners or renters or whatever that makes our houses more susceptible to having bugs come in, or they're just like, it's part of our world, you put, you know what I mean, you have a house there, it's gonna happen?
To a degree, it's part of our world. Bugs are around, they're not going anywhere. Again, as we talked about mosquitoes, low-lying water areas, you know, you're gonna attract a lot of insects.
What about roaches?
Keeping your counters clean, keeping your trash bagged, and, you know, taking it out and putting it in the trash can, or most people now have the large dumpsters. Keep it in there. You know, try not to leave too much stuff laying around. They do say housekeeping is one of the biggest parts, you know, of a good pest control service. You know, keep everything clean, and the rest of the job is pretty easy.
You know, because you actually were on a show, one of the Hoarder shows.
Yes,
You know.
Hoarding Buried Alive back, I guess it aired in 2014.
Yeah.
It was over in Northeast Philadelphia. A guy who had a serious hoarding issue, but with that, there was no way to clean the house. There was barely any floor space to walk on, let alone run a vacuum or wipe a counter, because there was, you know, 12 pots and pans on the range, all that had food in them.
Oh.
It was not a pretty sight.
You talked about the smell of the stink bugs. What was when you walked into that house? What was that smell like?
That was far worse than the stink bug smell. I
Yeah,
can tell you
I can
that.
imagine.
It was kind of like getting hit in the face with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it
Oh.
was. It was rough.
It becomes a situation where I feel very sad when I see a situation like that, because I think those people they really have something legitimately wrong with them to allow themselves to live in that type of squalor, and they're doing it without even really the knowledge that they're damaging their entire environment. It's
definitely
really
an
sad.
illness, definitely.
It's definitely an illness. With this situation, spoke with the daughter. She used to take him out to eat, and they would see the restaurant close the next day because he had roaches on him,
Oh.
and did not realize
Oh.
what was going on.
That sounds like Men in Black.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, you talk about that's how you introduce things to other places. That's disgusting.
It was rough, and then
Ugh.
at some point she said, "I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not fair."
Right.
And speaking to the guy, super nice guy, but it just didn't all click, that
Right.
things weren't right. And they say it's a life event that changes you. Super nice guy, great business prior to that. And
Wow. So being on Hoarders Buried Alive made you super famous, right?
we get some replies to it once
That's
in a
very
while.
cool. It's very cool.
The neat thing is it still runs. I get kids
Yeah,
that I
right.
coach that come to me, Coach, I saw you on TV."
That's awesome.
It was fun. It was a great experience. And like you said, it was extremely sad situation. Fortunately, he's not there anymore. He's not in that situation. So that's a great thing.
So fortunately, meaning he's cleaned up and he's getting help and.
His family's helped him out. They've moved him out of that house. They did empty it, and we did actually get rid of all the roaches.
Wow.
It was a two-step treatment once the house was empty.
Step one, knock the house down.
There you go, no roaches.
They asked what would need to be done to get rid of them, and I said, you might need to take the drywall down,
Wow.
which they didn't, and we still were able to get rid of them, so I was really stoked
Huge
about
job. Wow.
Yeah, it was
That's
huge.
crazy.
Well, Steve, I want to thank you so much for coming on the morning coffee with us today.
Oh,
Why don't
thank
you
you.
tell the listeners out there where they can find you, if they want you to come over and take a look at a problem.
that. Sure, that'd be great. We're actually located in Marlton at 6 North Maple Avenue, phone number 856-983-7707. And our website is, you can go to info@stevensexterminatingllc.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on.
Appreciate
For
it.
you listeners out there and viewers out there, please check out the information Steve gave you. And we're going to be back in 60 seconds with our next guest.